Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Mythology means science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which is science or study of fake, lie, or imagination. I have a very good friend and the analyst and writer. Let us welcome Abhijit Iyer Mitra.
I
Abhijit, I have yesterday, I heard it, and I wanted to ask you that Zelensky, the comedian, is giving Americans a message that Tulsi Gabbard is Russian and Glenn Oswald is also Russian. I mean,
Yes.
where does this come from? What is the background of all this thing?
Well, look, it's a message that goes perfectly well with what the Democrats have been doing, right? Not
Glenn
Democrats,
Greenwald,
technically the
sorry.
Uni Party. Uh, uh, the Uni Party, because remember, there's a lot of Republicans also could be Democrat, and a lot of Democrats who could be Republican. So basically, if you say anything they don't like that goes against their point of view, you're a Russian stooge. That's the way it works. So he's learned it's mimicry, right? He's not capable of doing anything new, so he mimics internal internal American debates, and it works for him.
So the thing is, I'm really surprised that you have a war going on in your country and you're telling everyone else that stop being Russian. Like you give us money, you're demanding now. It's like extortion. Your
Of course it
survival.
is. What do you think it was going to be? Look, uh, the Russians got hit bad the first time. They modified their tactics, and now it's just slowly, they're just creeping, but they're taking back, well, they're taking new stuff. So it's what you expect. See, you have to blame someone or something. We still don't know how much money is actually getting to the battlefront. Because remember, $1 trillion was poured into Afghanistan. The Afghans are none the better for it. If you go and check out Afghanistan, this is not what $1 trillion looks like. Where is that $1 trillion? Nobody knows. So you can keep giving shit into Ukraine. See, you keep every new war like this is a money pit. So it's fantastic for, I mean, whoever's making money. It's not fantastic for ordinary Ukrainians, but yay, best of luck.
Like, I'm just amazed. Like, why would you talk against Tulsi Gabbard or against anyone? Stop being Russian. You're a Ukrainian. You're not even an American citizen. Americans are not, it's
But
uh,
see, they're easy targets to pick. Glenn Greenwald is not a politician. He can't do much. Tulsi Gabbard is no longer in Senate or Congress, wherever, so she can't do much. So the easy targets to go after.
and that too on the Tucker Carlson show, and they all came back and responded to it. The funny, I mean, it's like Pakistani Imran Khan is telling BJP or any other media outlet, Arnab Goswami, is telling stop being anti-Pakistan. They're supposed to be telling the truth. What is there? So can we easily compare Ukraine to Pakistan now? Like they're acting the same way.
Pretty much, it's a rentier state, a security rentier state. Pakistan always used to say, "Oh, we're fighting the Russians. Give us money." What happened to all that money? Do you see anything happen? No. Well, I mean, the Russians were defeated, fine. Then it was, we're fighting the Taliban, give us money. And the Afghan government did the same thing. We're fighting the Taliban, give us money. Did you see anything happen? No. You couldn't defeat the Taliban defeated you. 20 long years, $1 trillion plus down the drain, you're out. Uh, and who made the money? Hamid Karzai and his nephew and all that crap, right? Same thing happens in Ukraine as well. Look, you can't take a corrupt economy, a fundamentally corrupt economy, and suddenly think that just because of war, everything's going to function properly. It's not.
It's so funny. I'm sorry, although if people from Ukraine are watching, it's not about your distress, but it's just the way that it has been acted out by the politicians. That's why I'm finding it funny.
Look, it's a tragedy. But here's the problem. We've been inured to this tragedy because we've seen what happened with Pakistan. We've seen what happened with Afghanistan. We've seen what's happened with, say, Libya and Syria as well. Where did all the arms go? Right. So it's now gotten to the point where you're thinking, if you're buying this crap, everywhere else, the attempt is always to enact a ceasefire. Alright, always ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Here, only one side is going on telling the Ukrainians, fight on, fight on, fight on, fight on. And you have to wonder, what is your agenda? Okay, what is your interest? Fine, I get, does Ukraine have a right to be a sovereign state and make its sovereign decisions? Yes. The problem is, your right ends where my nose begins. So if Russia feels you're punching them on the in the nose, they have a sovereign right to act in their own security. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, this is like us going into Bangladesh once upon a time, or NATO going into Iraq, or NATO going into Afghanistan, or NATO going into Libya, or arming people in Syria, whatever. This is how it works. Unfortunately, this is the problem, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Now coming back to India, now we are seeing the Sonia Gandhi being called by the ED second time. First time she did not answer question. This time she might have answered. I don't know what she did. So isn't it this funny now? The people who accuse the Modi government of all the corruption over the years are found to be involved in a blatant corruption thing, like a very open and shut case, like Dr. Swami put it out.
Well, it's look, National Herald is literally, like Swami says, an open and shut case, right? You can spin it, you can do whatever you want, but the process has to be followed. You need to know if there is evasion, if there is stupidity, and the problem is there is a rule with law. You follow the process of interrogation, but the principle is ignorantis juris non excusat. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So you can't, say that, oh my God, I got so much. I didn't know the law said, you can't kill. Therefore, I killed my wife. Okay, so you can't say, oh my God, I didn't realize the law said you can't sell off things in a duplicitous way like we did at National Herald. So we did. The point is, it doesn't matter if they come off as dumb, if they come off as clueless, if they come off as duplicitous, it doesn't matter. The case is made. That's it.
See, the very funny thing is, like, over the years, people are not able to understand why ED is used, not CBI. Can you throw some light on that? Because
ED is the one that has financial expertise. It's the one that can do forensic accounts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they very good? They're not particularly good, but they're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not particularly bad either. So they can do a lot of things which specifically in the financial sphere, and that is why, and in India, it's mostly financial crimes. Financial crimes vastly outnumber, financial crimes do vastly outnumber physical crimes. The problem is they never get reported or accounted for. So the estimates are that financial crimes are greater because, financial crimes isn't just financial crimes against the state. It's taking a loan from your friend and not paying it back. Little things like that.
Most of the Americans think they are a country of law and other countries are not. But believe me, I can tell you, India has more agencies than Americans can count. And like in America, it's very standardized that, anything beyond a certain level goes to FBI.
To be fair, everything, we have a lot of agencies and they're all uniformly useless.
I know you will say that. But I'm just saying, like, here, there's one FBI and everything goes to FBI. For anything beyond it is out of state crime also goes to FBI. So in India, there are so many agencies that if you can get caught in one of them, then you're done for the rest of the life for a long time. Now, catching or interrogating the leaders like Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, I don't call them a leader, is what impact will have long term in the Indian politics?
Well, the impact is that the opposition is destroyed. We don't have an opposition. Uh, the opposition gets a lot of news space, but in reality, governance is going to go down, because when you don't have an opposition that can meaningfully, credibly hold a government to account, then the quality of governance goes down.
See, in the US nowadays, the gas prices are coming down gradually, and also the inflation seems to be increasing. Now, even though the gas
Mm.
prices are coming down, inflation is still going up. The jobless claims have come down in terms of, because people are not even applying for jobs right now. Now, in the case of India, people would like to know, many Americans who are watching the show would like to know, why is India is recession free? Like there was a report which came out from Bloomsbury and the United Nations, the report came out that India has a stable economy. How is India coping up with that?
Well, because we're less ideological, we're doing less stupid things like antagonizing everyone around us and then deciding to go full green. You know what America is doing with green energy and not allowing fracking is kind of like what Sri Lanka did with organic farming.
Mm.
And that's what makes you, it's fine. Green energy is a good thing. Organic farming is a good thing. But you need to be extremely wise and do it in a phased manner. You can't just do it without having redundancies in place. A redundancy mechanism is crucial to the success of any plan, right? Because invariably, even good plans will have their off days. There'll be things when, say, the market doesn't do well. In other cases, where one or two operations, even if it's a standard routine operation, will go horribly wrong. The patient will die of a fever. Some crap like that will always happen. So you have to have redundancy. These guys do, I don't know what, and you can't make everybody your enemy all at the same time.
No, very true, very true. And I think the one thing is being appreciated by most of the people in the world is the stability of Indian foreign policy. That is one thing they have stood by. And not only this government has,
I don't think it's appreciated. I think it's more accepted. They would rather it did not, but yeah.
Abhijit, what analysts do that on the TV show is different. On the ground is completely different. If you meet people, commoners, like we had a big show last week, and people have appreciation, deep appreciation for everything.
Yeah.
And one thing I must tell you, Abhijit, one thing came to me was a new thing is coming up that India, the home of martial arts of the world. They say that all the martial arts in the world is originated from Kerala or Tamil Nadu, mostly.
Kerala.
Kerala. And they all gradually went towards the east. And they got
First to
divided.
China. So it was a chap called Swami Padmapada who took it to China and founded the Shaolin Temple. I think he's called Damo there. Damodara, this thing with the Chinese for lotus, but it becomes Damo in Chinese, and founded the Shaolin Temple, and karate branched off from there, kung fu developed from there, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, audience, I must tell you, I've seen some of his videos on history. He has a good grasp on history. So we'll call Abhijit for history also. That's what we love to discuss on this channel. We'll do that. And I don't agree with some of them, but we'll have fun because I just would like to hear. And so we'll cover that in some other show about the history of martial arts in the world. One last question. I know you have to go. And do you think the world, the way the Ukraine and Russia crisis evolved, is the world becoming a better, safer place, or due to de-dollarization and controlling? I don't know. Like, what is your view?
See, I personally think it's becoming a less safe place. The world is always better when you have a hegemon who's a wise hegemon, which America was for most of its existence. At least for most of the last 70 years, it was. The problem is when you de-dollar, I don't think any currency achieved the kind of global dominance the dollar did. But every great country makes that one mistake from which it's impossible to come back. I don't know if this is that one mistake, because when you're in the cauldron, you don't realize you're being fried. Well, I mean, you do, but assume you were a toad. You can't tell that you're being boiled alive or whatever. So you can't really tell right now, but I suspect this is it. Because once de-dollarization picks up pace, do you remember every time we used to talk about de-dollarization, I used to say not happening, not happening, not happening. This one is different. When a impact is big enough to cause price shocks, food shocks, etc., etc., then the movement towards that begins purely out of security reasons, financial security reasons. And there's no reversing it, because if you de-dollarize and the situation improves in your country, then you have an incentive to never dollarize again. And this is the problem. I think it's you trust a government when there is stable government. When they start showing signs of extreme erraticism, where they're not counting the global picture of financial instruments and things like that, that's when the run starts. And it doesn't have to be a run, it could be a light jog. But ultimately, it does turn into a run. Maybe it may not, but I suspect this is the beginning of a very slow, painful decline. It won't be fast, but it'll be very, very slow.
Most of the American media is still stuck on Republican versus Democrats. Other than Tucker Carlson's show, I have not seen any media highlighting the biggest danger to the American society. It's like they're being protected or they're being fooled. I don't know what is happening. Now, the world knows more than Americans today, much more than Americans, especially on the political side. One thing which really struck me, that there was a Tom Cruise movie came out and it became really popular, Maverick, and the politicians commented on it that this is how America is. The projection is in Hollywood, not on the real ground.
But see, the issue is every country's image of itself is always much more positive than everybody else's image of you.
Yeah.
Right? I happen to think I'm an outstanding bloke. Unfortunately, I don't think everybody else thinks that. So, it is what it is.
I'll just stay like this. So Abhijit, one thing comes to the mind is one of the things which is really happening today is the purchasing power, power of the dollar in the American street is so low. It's like people say 9% of inflation, but actually it's 20% of inflation, not even 9%. I can compare 1 year back what it was. The gas is almost 100% up. So why these? You answered it in the last one, but why this kind of trend is there, that what is the actual situation on the ground? They're not willing to admit in the political circles. Yes, Abhijit. So
I'll have to run. Wrap up. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I'll change the question, because that question was another question came up. The one of the things is recently the corruption index of global politicians came out, and I think the report I'll share with you. And they again branded that the Asian politicians are the most corrupt as compared to European or the Western ones. What do you have to comment on?
I thought Africans would be the most corrupt, no?
Anyone but the Europeans and the West.
Yeah, but well, that is accurate. And I'll tell you why. The richer you get, the less corrupt you get. American corruption, for example, is not corruption. Is there a law that says you can't start a war to help your friends? You can start a war. If your friends benefit from it, they can benefit from it. So that's technically not corruption. The thing is, it gets more sophisticated at that level. It gets much more macro at that level. In smaller countries, it's endemic low-level corruption, which costs a lot more lives and things like that. So it's a question of how you look at corruption, scale or frequency.
Well, Afghanistan was started by a Houston socialite. So which socialite is behind the Ukrainian war? I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I think the entire Uni Party is behind it because they needed something after Afghanistan.
That's right. Thank you.
I think all the tricks were falling by the wayside in Afghanistan. So they needed a new trick.
Thank you, Abhijit, for your time. And thank you all the viewers for asking questions. And I I see the liveliness in the audience when you come. I don't know why. So I'm happy.
Lovely. Lovely. See you guys. Bye.